So who's up next?
Welcome, Internet, to the Xbox Empire podcast, part of the Play Some Video Games Network of podcasts. We're back. We are back. Hell yeah! Donnie's cracking open a cold one. I'm Elaine. Nathan is joining us today, too. Because you know why? Because it's E3, y'all. So the gang's all here. We just
feels good to be back.
It does feel good to be back. We just came hot off of live streaming reactions to Microsoft Bethesda's press event, and we'll get into that in a hot second. Because we've been in that for hours, and we're all very excited. We're all very excited, right?
We're
all very excited, right?
Very excited.
The hype has been consumed.
Yeah, Donnie ate all the hype, and it's like coming out his pores. I smell hype coming through Donnie's. Gross. Oh, what does that smell like? Doritos and Mountain Dew?
That's what my onesie smells like.
No!
Oh.
You should really, like,
Elaine,
wash that.
It's really hot.
I don't know what you're doing. Like, what are you doing? My
People
husband
wanted it.
I told my husband that you wore the onesie, and he's like, "Why aren't you wearing yours?" And I'm like, "Because this tattoo is already so uncomfortable. I do not need to sweat inside of this nasty onesie."
It's so hot.
Spicy. Nathan's got a button-up polo thing going. He all fancy.
He's always looking so. He always looks so.
You look
professional.
grown. We're not grown. I got a boo in
He's
the
trying to get the
background.
intern's job that launched the Starfield trailer together.
That's right, exactly.
Oops, all boo-boos. Well, how do we want to do this, Donnie? What do you think? What do you gentlemen think here?
Okay.
Shall we talk about the pre-E3 news, or shall we talk about the E3 news?
Yeah, let's. I'll run it down pretty quick. Okay. Without going too far into it, Xbox did a whole, really a press blitz. They put a little snippet on their website early, but that wasn't what the press got, apparently. I'm not sure if you listen to podcasts or anybody else, the Satella Nadella, Phil Spencer conversation that went to press was like an hour long.
Yeah, there was a lot of content there. I did not get through all of it.
Well, it's not public.
Well, it's not public, but
they weren't allowed to repost clips of it. They could only transpose and recap it, which is
when I say
weird.
that, I mean, I didn't read through all of the hot takes,
weird.
but there are a couple quick bullet points here.
They're putting xCloud everywhere.
They want it on
TVs.
It's going on everything.
The big thing, it was really just a big reaffirmation of Microsoft is all in on Xbox. And I think getting the CEO of Microsoft in a Halo hoodie, talking about gaming, just really, if you were out there I don't know about this Microsoft thing, they're all in.
Yeah.
They're in.
Yeah,
That's all this was about. That's all it was. So, they did mention that they're upgrading the server blades for xCloud. They will be rolling those out, and the xCloud will be coming to consoles
sooner rather than later, right? Very soon.
This year? Later this year.
Later this year.
Said. Later this year. Consoles and PC.
They're also, more territories, all kinds of good stuff.
I think this is not any sort of, this is the basics of it. If you're wondering why they're bringing the streaming to consoles, it's so they don't leave anybody behind not on next-gen hardware, on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to start releasing more and more games that are Series X only. And it does set them up in a weird spot that if you're an Xbox One customer and you have Game Pass, you're kind of like, my membership is less valuable now than it was. So by them getting streaming there, they can still kind of have their cake and eat it too. It's like, hey, get the next console whenever you can, but you can still play Starfield. You can still play the new stuff.
It also bridges the gap of getting hardware into retailers. They're still having trouble. You still have to be on the lookout to get a console. You still can't waltz into Best Buy and walk out with a box. So
100%.
Yeah.
Now, I'm more excited about this. I'll be quick. Xbox has announced they're doing their Summer of Gaming Demo Fest again, and they highlighted that Sable, Lake, the Rift Breaker, Echo Generation, and Tunic
are all in there.
Are all coming. The Sable demo is already out. I played it yesterday. I sat down and I played it for about 2 hours, and I loved it. It was fantastic.
He hasn't stopped talking about it since.
It's
even.
so good.
So it means I need to play it because he will not stop talking.
It's a very chill indie game. It's Breath of the Wild-ish.
Ooh.
Like the climbing mechanic, the exploration, the open world, all of it. It's Breath of the Wild-ish, but like with some sci-fi flavor on top of it. Kind of Star Warsy vibes, kind of a little bit, not lightsaber Star Wars, but kind of like just
you lost me.
Tatooine desert.
Oh,
style.
you had him for a second.
Yeah, I
You
tried.
were so close.
I'm excited to play the Lake demo, and then the Tunic demo I've already played, but this is a new one. I was going to skip this one until it came out. This is a new demo. And remember, you don't have a time limit. You just download the demo and you
Yes.
can play it.
Yes.
So I definitely would give the Tunic demo a try whenever I get some time to play it. And then I
Yeah.
see that you highlighted Echo Generation, which
I
is
am
the
excited
one we
to
played
play
last year.
Yeah, I want to play Echo Generation and Tunic myself, and Sable now because you won't shut up, so I don't have a choice. Usually,
It's
when you're excited,
really
it's
pretty,
good. Yeah,
and it's really, the sound is great. I mean, everybody saw it at Summer Games Fest during the live singing portion
Right.
of the show. Which
right.
Not the best way to show it. The
Weird.
game is better than that. And it's coming to Game Pass. It's coming this year. It's coming soon.
Let's
Couple
go.
months. Gotta play.
There's a lot of stuff coming soon to Game Pass.
Oh, we're
like,
gonna get into that.
like it was a lot. So that was kind of the Xbox pre E3 build up. But basically, I mean, I don't think they're telling us anything we don't already know about. We're going to shove streaming onto every device we can.
Yeah,
You
they're
know what
gonna
I mean?
put
But
it anywhere.
it's nice that they're still like, reiterating the message and
And it was nice that I actually think it was really nice they got that out of the way ahead of the show.
agree.
I didn't want to see that during the show. I don't
No.
care about your blades and all that. Get out of here with that mess.
I think
You-
yes, they made some very smart decisions by putting the boring stuff in a presser or a conversation to press, letting people recap it for people like us who are just like, I just want the bullet points on this particular thing.
I don't want to hear
And
about
then-
streaming until streaming is ready for prime time.
I agree with that. What I really wanted was 90 straight minutes of video games, and that's what we got. We got 90 straight minutes of video games. I want to make a point up front to talk about how they structured this show, because they weren't playing. All right, they weren't. First of all, they opened with Todd Howard, not Phil, which I think is an interesting choice. They gave 3 or 4 very short segments of conversation, 60 to 90 seconds, and then they basically just ran game trailers. They showed 30 video games, 27 of which are coming to Game Pass. They didn't stop for 90 minutes. That's how you do a show when you have a situation like this E3 where you don't get a stage show and you're just delivering a digital product. Like, give it to me, man. Like, don't stop. You know?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean-
But I mean, before we get into some of these games and we start talking about them, the show as a whole, been talking about this for a few days now. I knew a good majority of what was coming. Knowing what was coming did not exceed actually seeing it in person.
Yeah.
And I think given the circumstances that Xbox is in with their recent studio acquisitions, the newly greenlit projects that they have, we know, like we've talked about, I feel like I've been saying this all year. Jeff Grubb just posted an article. We're going to go over it later. He just posted an article that I feel like is what I've been saying all year. So I feel really good about this opinion.
Yeah.
Starfield, Hellblade, Fable, Perfect Dark, they're going to be awesome, avowed.
Sure.
But they're going to be in 2023. Like, they're going to be later. They're a couple of years away. And we've been talking about, Lane, we've been talking about this for a while now, since the launch of the console, really. What is 2022? Like, how do we get there? Is next year just going to be, like, super light, like, lighter than now?
No.
So given the circumstances, yeah, that's the correct answer.
No.
Given the circumstances that they were in from last year's show, when they showed us so much, they unveiled so much, I think this show was as good as you could have hoped for.
Better than I thought it would be.
I was going to ask Nathan, because he came in completely blind. Like, he managed to somehow avoid the internet. I don't know. He has like adult responsibilities. He's like raising children that are not sassy and feral and don't just run away from him. So
They still require diaper changes. So.
yeah, you have to actually like raise kids. Right now, mine are just like, later, mom, I got crap to do. So like, you came in completely like, blind. How did you feel about that 90-minute experience?
As far as the 90 minutes goes, it was crisp, right? There was no downtime. There was no time where I felt like, okay, I should walk away now, right? Where sometimes you get those in E3 conferences. But this time, I mean, we had Halo in the middle of the show, right? We started with Starfield, right? And there is so much content that they threw out at us, and 27 games that are coming to Game Pass. And like, you do the math on that, and it's just such a good value, when you start looking at those things. And like you said before, they're upgrading those blades so people aren't left behind. And so they get the cloud experience there too. It's going to be fantastic. You couldn't have asked for a better conference, especially from the climate for the last 18 months that we've been in to now. I mean, this is entirely in that pandemic era. This is fantastic for them to come out and show this type of content for us.
They nailed it too. They nailed telling us what's coming this year, right? On a month-by-month, play-by-play situation, they nailed giving us the bridge of 2022, which is a bridge year for them, right? Largely, with the exception of one or two very large games. Like the big stuff is 2023, if you really start to look at it. And they found the bridge, and they presented it in a way that made me very excited to own an Xbox, you know, and I think if you own an Xbox, you should have felt good about that show. Because Absolutely. They showed you all the stuff that you can play, and it's exciting. Did it sell a new person? Maybe. It was right on the border, but
we had a lot of people in the chat that were like,
"I need Game Pass.
I need an Xbox. Yeah, I need a Game Pass."
You have so many games coming in your stream if you have an Xbox.
It's so hard to ignore the value at this point of Game Pass. It's been hard to ignore the value for at least a year now.
It'd be a disservice if you wanted to buy 4 or 5 of those games. You're doing yourself a disservice by not just Game Pass. Like Game Pass is the cheapest way forward to playing all of those games, even if you don't want to play them all. Just a handful.
Even if you wanted 3 or 4 of the games they announced, that pays for a year of Game Pass. Then you look back at the catalog and say to yourself, what haven't I gotten to play yet? Because I bet you in that back catalog, there are at least another 3 to 4 games. That's 2 years worth of content for the price of one. Like it's more than worth it. For almost anyone.
I didn't want to be like, you know, Johnny come lately hot after the show, but I thought it after the show, and having put down the notes and kind of looked through it a bit, I do think this is one of the better Xbox showings that they've ever had at E3.
I agree.
I think it's easy for me to say it's got to be a top 3 for me. I don't think we have to split hairs of which one's better than the other one, but Xbox, we talked about this leading into our last show. Xbox not routinely typically had like the greatest of E3 showings.
No.
For a few years they had some really bad showings.
Yeah.
This was a great show by any measure that you want to grade it on, right? Letters, numbers, scales, it doesn't matter. They had a great show. They showed a large amount of content, which I think is important. Nobody just wants like the one game. They showed a large amount of content. They showed a diverse amount of content. They showed value. They showed exclusivity. Like they gave you everything you wanted if you were looking to own an Xbox.
It's the most you could ask for a bridge year, because next year's show is not going to have anything for Xbox One, whereas this one had both Xbox One and Series X.
Yeah, and if you omit, again, if you omit all those games that I said weren't going to be there, you omit the Fables and the Perfect, like if you get them out of the way, because we don't want to see them until there's gameplay.
Agreed.
Right? We don't want to see another CGI trailer for those. If you take that out of it, I don't see how they could have done better than what they just did.
It would have been hard. They gave us. There would have been more talking. We wouldn't have gotten more games. Like they crammed a lot in 90 minutes. Like, and it was very well produced, and they gave you a very compelling reason to not only own their hardware, but own Game Pass.
And speaking of the show, I like the little Xbox Direct stuff, the little stage, the little hot clips.
Perfect.
We were in and out real fast. Good. That was fantastic.
Everything was very crisp. Yeah, it was. They knew exactly what they were doing. I think they mixed Bethesda in nicely. They didn't feel like they crammed two together. It felt like they were partners, which is what you want to see out of a very large acquisition like this. It was impressive to me. It was impressive, and it was well shot, and the camera placement was good. I'm pretty thrilled with how they rolled with this thing.
Same.
Phil's shirt was amazing. I want it.
Phil's shirt. I want Phil's shirt. Pete Hines had a good shirt too. Everybody wore good shirts.
Todd Howard opened the show.
Yeah.
Who had that on their bingo card?
And he opened the show with Starfield.
And who expected Starfield first off?
I don't know that I expected. I think I expected that to close.
Yeah, so did I. I thought they'd kick off with Halo, actually.
I also expected to actually see that game. It's a year out, a little over a year out. So that's 11/11/2022 is the announcement, which leaked before the show.
It's about 18 months.
And we have still not seen that game move at all, which is a bummer to me. It's a bummer, a little bit of a bummer to me. Just something, just a little bit.
I would have liked to see the camera swing around and see the player with a little agency. I think they tried to give you that idea with what they showed. However, I will tell you, I'm normally not into space sci-fi stuff. I was kind of into this trailer, I think, for a reason. Too. I was telling Sean after, this was like a different kind of space game. It wasn't high fantasy, Mass Effect, Outer Worlds. There weren't aliens and pink planets and everything. It felt like, as I was saying, like Gravity, Interstellar, the instrument clusters, the spaceship, everything looked like real, like something you would actually see today, which is a little more grounded in space.
Near future space, not like far space. I agree with you.
I'm a little more intrigued now than I was previously. So for me, that's a win. I think I was more impressed with it than I was even expecting.
That's
a
fair.
couple of the execs described it as a Starfield or as a Han Solo simulator.
Oh,
so
interesting.
You have that for me. I mean, I'll be down
You're
for
there.
a Han Solo simulator. That's right.
I feel like they pitched that directly to you, and I'm upset. But you know, I mean, I'm kind of glad they got this thing out of the way up front, though. The more that I think about it, it's like everybody's frothing to know. First of all, they answered 2 questions: what day, what year,
Yep.
and is it coming to only the Xbox? They answered both of those questions definitively. We all knew that this was probably going to be the case, but like, here's the deal: you're getting it in November of next year. It's only on Xbox or maybe
Exclusive.
Xbox and PC.
Big Game Pass. Elaine,
Yep.
big full screen title. Day 1 on Game Pass.
Every time they showed a game that was hitting day 1 on Game Pass, you got the splash screen after, along with the logo, with the game logo.
That's so
is
much
the way.
better than the little transparent logo in the corner. That's so much better.
That is the way you drive it home every single time. Like, yo, your $15 a month buys you a ton of stuff.
And I think, I mean, I know I'm taking a big swing from our little chat sample, but like it resonated. Our chat, we had tons of people that were like,
absolutely,
I gotta get Game Pass. Like it was hitting home.
I want to read you a tweet from my Twitter feed that just says, "So when is the Xbox Series X coming back in stock?" Like this is somebody that may never have considered that. I won't shout the person out, but like, yeah, like they got. This is anecdotal, but these are people who I have not seen say things like that, and that's exactly what they needed to do. Give me a feel good reason that I have my box, and give somebody else a good reason to go buy one. You know, so it's exciting. They went from Starfield to Stalker after that, and I think the most telling part about the Stalker trailer is that you, Donnie, were on board after the Stalker trailer.
Yeah,
that's telling because you didn't care.
The first one came out, and they showed us the trailer for the first time. You remember I stayed and watched the entire indie event for them to talk about Teeth.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So I wasn't like super onto it. I was always going to be like, well, it's on Game Pass, I will try it. Now today, I'm not just want to try it. Now I'm eagerly wanting to play it. It's coming out in April, and I can't wait to play it. It looked great. At the very least, you get a really pretty visual shooter that you can play. At the very least. And then if they hit home with the story and the survival aspect, then maybe it's a hit. A lot of people really, really like Stalker. It's got a big fandom. Like, at least it's got a devoted fandom. May not be super big, but they are really into that game. And look, it's marketing, right?
Sure.
Journalists, they say it all the time. Like, it's just trailers. That's a trailer that got my interest. So that's a win. That's the job. Mission accomplished.
They showed gameplay. It looks amazing. It moved well. You know, the animations were very good.
You saw like the moonlight lift off the gun barrel. You're like, oh man!
The animation on the rail gun was bomb. Like I was very impressed by that. I want to note, as we talk through these games, there are only 3 games in this list that are not coming to Game Pass: Battlefield, Far Cry 6, and the Diablo 2 remaster. So as we talk about these games, I'm not just going to keep saying, yo, it's on Game Pass. Those are the only 3 that are not. Okay?
Game Pass.
Just get this out of the way up front. I'm really excited about Stalker 2. I played the first on PC, and it's great. They're good. They're like Metro. They're very atmospheric. I say that not necessarily in a one-to-one way of gameplay, but they have this atmosphere and this creepiness to them that's very unique, and it feels very cool. So
it's the first brick laid on that bridge of 2022.
Yeah.
Right? Like that answers a really big question. It's like, what am I getting for Game Pass after Halo? Guess what? Stalker 2. Well, 3 months later.
That's April, right?
Yeah.
That's early 2022, and that looks fantastic. And man, they showed this logo at the end of the show of all the stuff for 2021. It's like a game a month. Just hitting Game Pass is like a game a month.
Did you see the logo I retweeted after we got off the call?
Yeah, today, this year, next year. It's crazy. It's bananas.
It's just like 50 tiles on a
freaking bananas, y'all. It's bananas. They dropped 2 co-op shooter style games, or at least what I'm assuming the second one is. We're getting Back 4 Blood to Game Pass.
Day one.
Day one. And then Avalanche is making a game called Contraband that the little snippet seems to indicate will be another one of those types of games.
Open world shooter, co-op shooter.
Sure.
It's like a heist game, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a heist game, maybe some sort of... Look, sure, right?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, it's coming to me. I get a free rental.
Avalanche has chops. We've talked a lot about Rage 2, but Rage 2 is still like, it's not like an indie game. It's a big
fun.
open world game. Yeah.
It's just not what I wanted.
Avalanche
that game
has
to be.
chops.
Avalanche has chops. Why don't you guys talk to me about this next thing? Because we lost our damn minds over this nonsense. It is
so
crazy.
This next thing is one component of my drink choice of right now, which is a rum and coke. So the first piece being rum. Jack Sparrow, ladies and gentlemen, is coming to Sea of Thieves. Which, by the way, I'm not a Sea of Thieves guy.
None of us are.
I tried it. I couldn't get into it. I just wanted a single player game. It wasn't that, and whatever. But this trailer, dude. All right, I'm a Disney fan, right?
There you go.
Disney,
yeah.
Anything Disney. Once I saw him like with the trying to get the key from the dog, I was like, "It's Pirates of the Caribbean. What's going on here?" And so stoked. Like I literally like almost jumped out of my seat when I saw that Jack Sparrow and the Pirates of the Caribbean were coming to Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves: A Pirate's Life launches with Season 3 later this month.
Right.
The epic original story that brings Captain Jack Sparrow and his crew sailing in from beyond the horizon to spark new adventures spanning 5 narrative-driven tall tales.
Interesting. I want to play this, so I gotta have to find some people who are willing to play.
Same.
Single player. I want it to be single player.
I want it, but it won't be.
I want to
even
play
if it's not.
with friends.
I think we need to figure this out.
I want to play this event. To me, it's a completely different game, but almost reminiscent of like how Fortnite operates. Like
Sure.
Fortnite has an event and drops something cool, and it's like, I want to see that. I want to go do that, and I'll hop in for a day and I'll play it and check it out, and then I'll play it again. I didn't have this on my bingo card. I had no expectation or anticipation that they're going to get me to download Sea of Thieves again. This will be the third time that I have downloaded Sea of Thieves. I've uninstalled it every time, and I thought I'd never come back, and I am. I'm going to give it a try again.
That water graphics. Gonna drive back those water graphics.
That's gotta be. It's a win for them.
It's a really smart partnership.
Yeah,
like it's very, very smart because it fits in beautifully. The animation style works for the characters, and it's just like a great way to get people who may have not considered this game to just try it.
It's Disney. You're gonna draw in all the Disney fans that would never have looked at this game at seeing what this is all about, seeing that, oh, Jack Sparrow's in this, what's going on? And then you have this whole new player base that you're introducing to this content.
That was very smart. It took me aback a little bit how much I was interested in checking that out. You know, like
you gotta find a crew.
Yeah, I think we do. And
I need somebody to carry me through Sea of Thieves.
So do I. We need someone who knows how to play.
Can carry us all through it.
Yeah, we need somebody to carry us through it, but we want to see it. We want to see what it's like.
I want to check that out for sure. Dropping immediately, as of right now, probably, Yakuza Like a Dragon is now on Game Pass.
I paid $100 for that game when it first came out.
And it's a great game, right?
Not
and
that long ago.
This completes the Yakuza collection on Game Pass. You can play 7 Yakuza games, each pushing 20 to 40 hours on Game Pass as of right now.
Microsoft writing checks.
That's bananas.
Writing checks.
They showed Battlefield after that, which looks like Battlefield. Very pretty Battlefield. I was actually pretty impressed with some of the weather effects. And...
So we didn't record. So we have not said anything on this. Like Battlefield 2042 had its little event. We got to see it today. It is launching this fall. It is $70. It is multiplayer only. It includes no single player campaign.
Correct.
That's too much for a multiplayer only game.
There's a lot of people that have that opinion. I don't care. I want to be full carte blanche. I wasn't buying Battlefield at all.
Right.
I never have at day one. If it hit Game Pass with a single player campaign, I would have downloaded it and played it.
Agreed.
With it not having a single player campaign, now I wouldn't even down. Like if they could be like Game Pass, I'm like, I don't care. It's out of mine.
I don't have a problem with a multiplayer only experience hitting at that amount of money because when you really look at the people who invest in something like Battlefield and play hours and hours of it, they get their money's freaking worth out of a $70 game. People who play Warzone,
400 hours and stuff.
They get that. My issue is not that. My issue is just I don't care about Battlefield. I think that's my general issue. And if I'm inclined towards playing a big multiplayer shooter like that, I'm probably going to pull something that's on Game Pass, like Outriders or Halo, something like that, because that's going to go free to play, and we'll get there.
Yeah.
But it's hard to convince me as a player who doesn't play Battlefield to drop the cash on a multiplayer only Battlefield.
I think it's going to be a tough sell for a lot of people. Yeah. Doesn't mean all people, and it doesn't mean the Battlefield won't have Battlefield fans. They're all going to buy it, and it's going to be fine. I don't mind a multiplayer game doing its own, but Nathan, to your point, I do think there's a real comparison to be made. You can You can say that the Battlefield players don't mind and they'll pay for it and all that, but that's a real thing. You've got Fortnite, now you've got Halo, you've got Apex. There's a lot of competition, and here you are going $70, no single, like it's less, it's considered less than it was before, even if you have twice as much multiplayer content.
It's interesting for them to show this at the Xbox event when really the people who are going to do this are going to buy it on PC. The bulk of the people who do this specific Battlefield situation, they're probably going to pick it up on PC.
I think we'll always see Xbox have a marketing agreement with Battlefield as long as PlayStation has one with Call of Duty.
Sure, yes, that's a direct one-to-one, but it's...
Hey, it's got tornadoes.
It does have...
It looked cool.
It looked cool. So my thing is, if this had hit Game Pass, I would have tried it in a heartbeat.
You would have tried it?
Fun. Absolutely, I could drive a stupid
I think if it had a Battle Royale mode, I think I would try it.
Look at that 10-hour trial in it.
Yeah.
If it had like a Warzone mode or something, I would have tried that.
Yeah. I would try it on Game Pass. And I'm not bummed it's not on Game Pass. I don't really have an investment in Battlefield, but I really think it's an interesting pitch.
And it will come to Game Pass via EA, and I think it'll come sooner than normal. The way that it is multiplayer only, I would expect it to actually have a short tail. I expected it probably in Game Pass probably before February. The end of February is where that'd be where I'd bet on it.
I don't disagree with that because I think that dropping a multiplayer only Battlefield it's going to drop off real fast.
Yeah, you're gonna have Call of Duty, Halo. There's a lot of shooters this fall, and it's like
there's
yeah,
and this seems to be the year of the revitalization of the co-op shooter situation, as opposed to these big war stuff. Back 4 Blood, this Contraband game potentially, like we're shaking the tree on those kind of games again. Like the loop has come back around, so maybe that pushes this into Game Pass faster.
Yeah. Yep.
What we got next, man? Hit me.
What was that game? I just wrote down Annapurna Interactive.
Is it 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Was that 12 minutes?
12
that's
minutes.
Theirs, right? This is one that's been announced previously, and I was very interested in when it was first shown, and I'm very excited to see it drop into Game Pass on day one.
Mm-hmm.
A little
Such a
indie
good cast on that.
Yeah, great voice cast. A little indie whodunit kind of game. I'm excited. I'm excited to play this. Let's go.
I'm trying to find the date. I'm sorry, I don't have it.
It's in the pretty picture.
Wasn't it August?
It's summer. Yeah, it's summer.
Soon. It's soonish.
Soon. Everything feels like it's soon, doesn't it? Like
soon.
It almost feels like Game Pass is a threat now. Like video games are coming soon.
It's like a Death Star standing out.
Confirmed for August.
August 19th.
Game Pass at launch.
August 19th is the date on that one.
That was a game I was absolutely going to buy. I've said it a bunch. I'm all into Game Pass because of the indies.
It's ridiculous.
They're coming.
It's kind of bananas. They dropped, speaking of indies, Psychonauts 2. Kind of not an indie anymore since they are now owned, but that is hitting July?
Psychonauts 2.
No, August 25.
The week after, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, August 25, that's a sweet spot. There's not a ton of stuff out.
The blog post right up for today is so long that I have to Control F to find something.
I just brought up the picture. Show me in visuals. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
I'm down for Psychonauts. I thought it looked great. It looked like a great, it had a great showing presentation-wise, right? It looked polished. Yes. It looked professional. It looked a very nice game. It's obviously a big modern step up from Psychonauts of old, right? Because it's an older game. I never played the old one. I'm going into this one new because I've never done the Double Fine thing. That's a new one for me. And but I do love these platformers. Like I'm loving Ratchet. Ratchet's amazing right now. Yep. And if this can be anything like that, I don't know if I want to even hold it to that because Ratchet's really, really good. But if it can be, a quality platformer like Sackboy's Big Adventure or something like that, if it can be something like that, I'm gonna have a blast doing that. It looked funny.
It is. Those games are. The first game was so unique, just in the way it tells the story and the characters and the worlds and like the places you go and the concept. I think this has a chance to hit for you. I do. They're very interesting. So
I was thinking I'd go play the old one, but it's one of those things where I think it's so old that I wouldn't appreciate it.
I think without the tint of nostalgia, that's a tough sell.
Yeah.
To me personally. Because it was a little rough when it came out, and I imagine it's very rough to play now. So, the next thing we got is a bunch of Bethesda news, including 10 more games hitting Game Pass, including the ones that I think that we all thought were the open holes. Evil Within 2.
So many. Was it Dishonored, Doom, The Evil Within 2, like a bunch of Fallouts, Fallout Tactics, which
the
I didn't
old
even know.
Fallouts, Fallout 1 and 2 and Tactics, Fallout 3, which is
I didn't even know there was a Fallout Tactics.
Yep, there was.
Sounds awesome.
Dishonored: Death of the Outsider specifically, that was the one gaping hole that was not filled in. Wolfenstein 2 was not in there, and it's there.
Good game.
Doom 2016 and Evil Within 2 are also there now. And Rage, forgot about Rage. Basically, they filled in the catalog, and that's exciting.
Today, it's
they're
so
now.
easy to pass over that, right? It's like, Bethesda games are here today. Like if you're a Game Pass member, they just gave you 10 games.
And then they were like, oh, by the way, we're dropping a patch for Doom Eternal that's going to give you 120 FPS performance mode, 4K 60 balanced. Like it's nuts.
Do you think ray tracing would do a lot to Eternal?
The technology would, because
I don't remember a whole lot of puddles and water and stuff in Doom Eternal.
Maybe there's a lot of lighting that plays.
The volumetric lighting effects as well.
The lighting. I mean,
I want fast Super 120.
120 is what you want. That's how you want to play that game. Rip and tear until it's done.
And on Series S, you still get 120 at 1080p, and you also get 1440 60. So Series S is still punching pretty strong.
Series S continues to be an impressive console.
It really does.
So small, so impressive, so small. And they continued their reign of Bethesda with more Fallout 76. They're going to drop The Pit in July, I think. I want to say that's when that expansion is coming out, and that's like that's a Fallout 3 like DLC location that was really good. So they showed more Elder Scrolls Online. Like they went nuts.
Have they turned the corner on Fallout 76? I'm not as in the know, but it seems like they've really like doubled down on it like hard versus like just kind of like letting it be what it was. It's like they're trying to change people's opinions on it.
I have to imagine that they're continuing to produce content because people are playing it.
Yeah, I think when they put it in Game Pass, they probably got a lot more players that just started to explore and have kept with it. And I think you've probably got the effect that you get whenever you put anything in Game Pass, right? You get more player base, more people start talking about it online, and it's just kind of getting that echo chamber.
Elder Scrolls Online is getting the Blackwood expansion and a Series X version.
Yep. Yes. Soon. Very soon. In fact. I don't know.
Which gets us through the Bethesda DLC drop, which welcomes Sean Capri 3.
Sean Capri 3.
Guys, are we still talking about Xbox? Or are we?
Yeah, we're still talking about.
We're still
talking about
Xbox.
Square. Did you
I want to watch
Square at all?
I told you it was gonna be bad. I told you. I warned you.
It's not cute.
We were hanging out a moment ago. I feel like it was just a second ago. We were all hyped about games, and then I went to Square, and they made me hate video games.
Why are you watching Square?
I
warned
warned
you.
you.
Yourself?
Good question.
What did you do? What did you do? Why the high have
I made
a snack?
mistake. I made a mistake.
You should have eaten a granola bar and took a nap. What are you doing?
I had 2 cookies. I thought that would pick me up. I still got crumbs around here.
Gross.
Terrible. Well, they're like little sprinkles. They're sprinkles on my work laptop. There's a couple. Square was terrible. Xbox is the best show of the entire E3. It's not even close. Nintendo, there's a high bar for Nintendo on Tuesday. But man, what a great show for Xbox, because I had basement hopes for Square. That was terrible. That was one of the worst E3 showings of all time.
Is it worse than Gearbox's? Because I thought I saw a lot of people write that Gearbox just put on the worst show ever.
They both seem to just mail it in.
They tried. They tried to outdo each other.
I think
no,
so.
they
I think
outbatted each other.
Yeah, Gearbox go, Square Enix hold my beer.
I don't know if you guys will go check it out later.
No, no.
Yeah,
Guardians of the Galaxy showed a whole team of Guardians of the Galaxy fighting cubes of Jello.
What?
That's the enemy. That was the first. And they spent at least 5 minutes. No, Guardians of the Galaxy, the Star Lord and the Drax and the
they're
raccoon
fighting
dude.
like slime sons or something. Like what?
Cubes of Jello, slimy little that's what they were fighting.
Oh yes.
Terrible.
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 Ryan, not worse than Gearbox, but even Ryan Turford, a huge Square fan, thought it was terrible.
Absolutely horrendous.
I told you so. I'm gonna be
I don't
that
know
guy.
why. I don't know why you
told
people should listen. You knew this wasn't going to be good. They had
We
nothing
warned
to
you.
show. You were warned.
My expectations, I thought, were appropriately low, so that maybe they could win me over a little bit. But dude, terrible.
Then they had some announcements for Final Fantasy. You're like, and it's mobile.
It's mobile and Steam only. It was not. I saw the tweets and I was like,
My biggest regret is that now we're going to go, in about 10 minutes, we're going to go record the Xbox Drives, wrap up on the Xbox show, and I've been shit on by Square Enix.
Well then, Ryan, here, let us ride the high back up with you.
Let's
man.
bring me back.
We were halfway through. We're halfway through our recap. We're at Party Animals. which is
Oh God.
a fever dream. I don't know what
That's
it's
stupid.
like.
That's so weird.
It's like Gang Beasts, but with furries. I mean, what do you want me to say? You know, like, there you go. I got it. I nailed it. Score. Swish.
Wow.
Yeah. Hades is actually a big deal.
Yes.
So Supergiant hasn't put a game on an Xbox console since I think Bastion. So dropping Hades on and then having it be like, yo, August 13th it comes to Game Pass is a huge deal. That game is fantastic. It's also coming to PlayStation, but I don't care right now. It's coming to Game Pass.
It's not coming to Game Pass on PlayStation.
No, because there is no Game Pass on PlayStation.
You can buy it on PlayStation, or you could get Game Pass.
Hades is one of my favorite, Hades is one of my favorite games of the year. It was released, so I think the more people, I'm
excited to see new people play it. Yeah.
Yes, because there's a lot of people who looked at that game and said, I bet you it's coming to the Game Pass eventually, you know?
Yeah.
And you were right, kids. So good job not buying it.
It's really, really good. It's not my type of game, but I played quite a bit of it, and it is. If you're into those types of game, it's one of the best of it.
Yep.
I was one of the ones that was waiting for Game Pass, so I'll try it.
Yeah.
There you
Smart
go.
man.
See, it's so
Smart
good.
man.
The music is so good. They dropped a little game called Somerville next.
Yeah, they did.
This is the one that had the inside playground.
Yeah, it
vibes,
did.
Right? Like
Couple of those.
Yeah, there were two
Oh,
of them, and this one was creepy. I'm here for it.
This is
Yeah.
Donnie's game.
Donnie
This
game.
is my standout of the show.
Is that next year? That's next year, correct?
Yeah.
Does the Artful
2022.
Escape, did that ever come out?
No.
Whatever happened to that game?
It's in the ether somewhere. It's living in space. It's space. Space. All right, next we got our Halo. Perhaps a little less Halo than some people were looking for, but it sounds like there's a good reason for that. Most importantly, I think I would note most importantly the multiplayer is going to be free to play.
I think
Halo.
it looks good. It
looks like Halo.
fantastic.
Right?
It looks the
like
same to
Halo.
me. I'm not gonna lie to you. It looked the same.
They dropped a grappling hook in and showed it in motion, snatching up.
We saw the grappling hook last year,
We
but we
saw
didn't
it
see
for-
them. We didn't see them like grab guns and
Guns.
swords right out of the air,
And then-
or throw yourself up to spaceships in the sky and stuff. That was dope.
and
You all haven't been playing Apex
vehicle-
Legends with Pathfinder, have you?
Yes, this is fair. And they
Yeah.
just the latch onto vehicles, throwing people out, like that stuff looked fun. It seems like it'll add some speed to Halo, some more speed to the back and forth of Halo. That'll be really fun for multiplayer.
Well, traversal too, like
Yeah,
with those
man.
multiplayer maps and all those little bases. I've been watching the Halo live streams with Sean, and they've got all these towers and everything. Like, imagine just being able to jump out the window of one and swing yourself back up and stuff. All of a sudden, Chief's Batman or something. It's gonna be crazy.
The free to play multiplayer is a big deal.
We just talked about Battlefield. I'm gonna do it
That-
again, Sean. You could
that's-
pay $70 to play Battlefield 2040, whatever, or you could get Halo and play
Halo
it
for free.
That is
Halo is free.
That's very, very, very smart.
Wow.
That's very, very, very smart. And it's they gave a holiday this year date because they're afraid, I think, to miss a date.
Jeff Grubb, this is what he said. So we got a question. Comes from Josh. Not seeing any Halo campaign, and in my opinion, seeing some very bland-looking locations for multiplayer. Do you think we have anything to worry about for Halo? Jeff did address this over on the Kind of Funny show afterwards. So he said, and he actually warned us because there was some stuff in Jeff's server over the weekend where people were like, "Is it September? Is it coming sooner?" There's been a lot of that, and he goes, "They're not going to date it." And people were like, "What? They have to date it." He's like, they don't want to miss a date. They're not going to date it until it's ready.
Agreed.
So this
Yeah.
might be like a quick turnaround. We might like get an update from it, and it's out a month from now.
Once it goes gold.
Yeah, that's when you'll get the firm date because they don't want to miss it. And they don't want to be late on it when they do it, and they want to make sure that it's as ready as it can be for prime time.
And all together, single player and multiplayer,
They-
day and date, gameplay,
have
it's all
to.
the same. Very simple.
They have to. I think to me, holiday usually means November or December. That's what holiday. It means after.
December seems late. You're right, though. It could be it could be as late as December, technically.
Could
I
be.
still stand by November. It's got to be November for the
I-
anniversary.
It's funny.
That's Forza.
One
That's
of the
Forza,
people. See, that's the
so-
thing. One of the folks in the Jeff's server, the reason they got started is one of the folks is a developer, and they said that Halo and Forza were going to trade months. One was going to be September, and one was going to be November. And we now know that Forza is the November game. So the question: could Halo come sooner? If it were me, I think there's a really strong case to try and get Halo out in front of the big shooters.
Yep.
Try to get out earlier than that.
yes.
Be first.
I
Now,
don't disagree.
They may not make it. I'm not trying to get you expecting it in September. They may not make it. But if they can, don't be surprised. I'm not going to be surprised if we get a Halo Waypoint update. It's like we're testing multiplayer August 2nd. and the game's out September 19th. Because
Yeah.
with Game Pass, they don't even have to like really have a big run up to it. They can just put it up. You know,
they totally can, and they probably will. Yeah. I'm glad they didn't date it because I don't want to see them miss a date. I think they've missed one once, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that twice. You cannot.
Gotta be careful. Yep.
Yeah, I think that they do have to be careful. So it's better to under promise and over deliver on this one.
Ooh, Ryan says, according to Xbox Brazil, it's dated November 9th.
That's the exact same day as Forza Horizon. That's the same day.
There's no way.
I don't think so either.
I agree. I wouldn't drop them at least 2 weeks apart.
I agree.
That'd be like the minimum.
Late November, early December is my best guess. That's my guess. That's just what my gut wants to say. Would I love it September? Absolutely, but I just don't see that happening.
I still, after all that was said about Halo last year and all that's done and this year-long delay and it being on the box and everything, when they showed us the same type of environments outside and on the Halo ring, it looked the same to me. Which is why I was wondering, like, with the delay, I was like, how much can you really do to a game in a year?
Maybe they had balance to deal with. Maybe they had free-to-play considerations to deal with.
Well, it's content, right? Like,
yeah,
they could build a
long time.
A year
they
is a
could
long
build
time.
a campaign. They could do a lot of content
That's
story-wise.
That's what I suspect.
They were never going to overhaul the engine, overhaul the graphics. Like, that was never going to be the case.
I don't know. I like, there's a great amount of documentation about what happened with The Last of Us when they, like, the original The Last of Us, about when they pushed that a couple of months and how they, like, Naughty Dog said, they thought that they took that game from a 7 to a 9 in those months.
Yeah,
like,
but
just a couple of months.
I'm
specifically talking about the criticisms with Craig and the looks and the visuals. You were never going to overhaul the engine like that in a year.
I don't know. I think art assets are, I think you can.
I've read a lot of developers say that games come together in the last freaking 3 months. Like, that's a very common thing to read. Like, it magically all comes together at the end. So they might have just shown the damn thing. I think they showed it.
I think we're talking about two different things here. I know exactly what you and Sean are both saying. But the whole Craig and Master Chief and the game is going to look completely different, and it's going to look so next gen a year from now. That's not the case.
No, I don't. I think you're right about that. I definitely think they showed that thing a little. Maybe they did not present it well a year ago. I think they made some choices that they perhaps should.
I think they were smarter today that everything was in quick cuts.
I agree.
You didn't get any, like, slow stills or anything. Yeah.
That game looks better in motion.
You never saw anything comparatively for longer than a couple seconds. It was just
you saw it how you play it. Nobody plays Halo the way they showed it the first time.
Right.
Yep.
Right. It's not intended to be that way. But they didn't mess it up. I think they nailed it. I think they showed the multiplayer they needed to show. They gave you enough. It was safe. They gave you enough of you have a new AI in your head.
Is it safe? Is the new Cortana safe?
I do think so. They had to. There was no choice.
That's a good point. That's probably the riskiest thing they did show was what is going on with Cortana. Who is this new AI?
I'm very excited about that.
I like her.
I'm very excited.
I think the way that universe works around AI and rampancy and all that stuff, they didn't have a choice. That they had to go. They took her so far in 4 and 5 that there was no choice.
Well, and I barely even understand the damn story at this point anymore anyway. So that's been my point this whole lead up, which you already know, Elaine. We've talked about ad nauseum. I've wanted like a soft reboot. I want to be in on the ground floor and in the story with everybody else. And I think that's what that meant to me. Yeah. When I was watching, I was like, okay, I can know Halo now with everybody else. I don't have to read 18 novels and have the comic book and do the TV series and the movie. You know, like now I can understand what's going on.
I actually don't. I think that it was a very smart choice because there's a whole generation of people who are coming into Halo for the first time now, you know, who don't have, and it's hard to go back, even with the Master Chief Collection, to relive. That stuff was a time and place type of shooter, you know, and it was special for a lot of reasons. But a soft reboot, getting new people in with a new character, yeah, that's the right call.
Going back to Master Chief Collection is only reserved for Saturdays about 10 o'clock at night, right?
Every Saturday. Until Infinite comes out and they get a date.
I think they leaned on the grapple hook. They really leaned on their strength and they showed you why it's cool. Like they really like put it in the gameplay. Here's why it's going to be fun. And it looked like it was going to be fun.
Ripping a gun into your hands while moving and shooting somebody with it with that grappling hook is freaking cool. That's just all there is to it. That's awesome. Let's see. What else did they show us? They showed us Diablo 2. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 8-player co-op. It's hitting in September 23rd. It is, again, one of the 3 games that was not Game Pass. It looks amazingly good, and I am real excited to play a lot of Diablo 2.
Are you here for that?
I'm here for that, like deeply. Diablo 2 is one of those games I played over the LAN in college for hundreds of hours. So it is kind of a special place for me, and seeing that particular game get remastered, very excited.
Never played it. I'm anticipating getting on Switch though.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's not a bad choice. I think Diablo 3 really sold that they can make those games play exceptionally well on console. So this is very exciting for that reason. What was next, Donnie? Hit me.
Plague Tale Requiem, which is the sequel to A Plague Tale, is coming 2022, coming to Game Pass. Another day and date big game on Game Pass. A lot of people really, really enjoyed the first one. I played it when it came to Game Pass. Oh, it was good. I wasn't like over enamored. I would like to see a little bit more freedom with the player movement and combat and action in that regard. But it's because I like those games more than those a little more linear.
That first one's still on my list to get to. It's installed, I'm sure, but
look, I don't want to come off and say bad things about it. I think this was a game that like punched above its weight.
I agree.
Production values were better than what people were expecting. For a smaller dev, indie-ish type game, it had big game feel, and it's nice to see them be doubled down and hopefully invested in on. Hopefully this is Xbox hopefully investing into that, and maybe the sequel will be bigger, better, grander. All the things we want with a sequel.
It looked great. I mean, visually, and I think I was surprised by how much I liked that game, given that it was a pretty small indie type of game,
and it was story focused. So here I am talking about all the stuff, and it was just story focused. It was a story game. Great character interaction, great writing. Like that is a worthwhile one to play. That is also currently on Game Pass, the first game. We got Far Cry 6 next. Look, there was a rooster that attacked a dude for you. Look. Don't mess with the rooster, man.
Far Cry has become the most video game of all time. And I'm so excited about it. Like, I'm so here for an attack rooster and a gun that shoots CDRs with Macarena on it at people's faces. This is so stupid. I'm so excited about this game. That's like, what, October? That's soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
That's my big game of the fall.
I think
that's the game that we've pre-ordered. I can't wait. We've been talking about Far Cry 5 all year. Like, I'm all here, all in, day one. Might take the day off. Might just play 8 hours of Far Cry in one day. Might just do it. Might have to do that.
Every time I see more of the game, I get more excited. Every time. Like, I get more, because it's so stupid. And I'm so pumped about it, They showed a little bit more of it at the Ubisoft event this weekend too, and they're doing a DLC with one of the versions, Season Pass, that gives you the villains, like little sub gameplay things from the villains from the last 3 games. Like, there's cool stuff, and their Blood Dragon is getting packaged in with that. That's great. I like that they do that. Very good stuff. What's next? Slime Rancher 2, which felt like watching
that was something.
Acid trip in real time.
It was a thing.
There were a lot of colors. It was
talk about fighting Jello.
I had blah 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 blah. Day one on Game Pass for that game.
Yep.
Sure. The next game I'm actually pretty pumped about. Let's talk about Shredders for a minute. It was this very like chill snowboarding experience. Like not quite SSX, kind of more like almost steep in its like not too arcadey business, and it just had a good vibe, and I kind of want to play this, and I'm pumped it's hitting Game Pass.
Yeah,
because I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, I would never buy it. I don't think I would ever buy a snowboarding game today. Like,
really?
Even if it was SSX, and like unless it was like a budget title, right?
Fair.
But let's say there was a new SSX tricky, and it's $60. Like, no, I'm good. But I just think we've moved, beyond like the basic concept.
Sure.
But Game Pass, I definitely want to check it out. It did have like kind of that tranquil feel, and it might be something like that. That's kind of the vibe I was getting. You just kind of hit these slopes, and they were just kind of cruising around. You could see everybody's little tracks in the snow and hitting a couple things, and it wasn't like 720.
Exactly.
There weren't like bing, like counters and stuff going off and point things. It looked chill, and I could be down for something like that.
Yeah, that's the kind of game. It kind of reminds me of like Skate. Where, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's got that very, like, almost clinical vibe, but in a good way. And if you get the right tunes turned on underneath of it and you're just kind of flowing, like, that stuff can be great. So,
Jam podcast.
Again, like, putting it on Game Pass, like, I'm definitely going to check it out. Like, there's no way I'm not, because it's there. Okay. Atomic Heart made me feel things. That opened with you pointing a gun at this robot thing whose face popped open and it was like a cooler with food in it.
We had like the trance techno, just like the
Russian
behind
techno music.
What the hell was happening?
I don't know, and I'm not okay.
It's coming to Game Pass, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it was so weird. I was like, yeah, I gotta see what that's about, right?
Have you ever had the kind of dream where you wake up like sweating because it was so weird that it was just like messed your brain up for a full 6 hours after? This was that.
Yeah.
Except it was really happening.
It was weird. It was strange.
Oh, this is actually the kind of game that I'm really in for Game Pass for, though.
Yeah.
You know, like this is a very good selling point for a service for $15 a month. Like, yeah, give me weird.
How different would this have hit if it was like at I'm just throwing it, if it was in a Nintendo Direct? Like, I'm not gonna buy this. What the hell is going
Sony.
on?
Like,
right?
they would have to play this at Devolver.
Nicely does Game Pass like smooth something like this over?
Right. Oh, well, I
you're
definitely.
Like, it's so weird. I want to try it. I want to see what it's like. Maybe it's awesome. Maybe it's awful. Like,
I have to know, but I have to know now.
It might be terrible. I'm gonna find out though.
I gotta know. What the hell was that? Like, I've not been able to stop thinking about how that trailer made me feel, and it wasn't good. But I have to know more. You know, like, oh boy.
Look, if you can pique the curiosity enough to get the install and then hook them when they're playing the game, that's a win, right?
Yeah. It's hey, is it weird? Cool, let's do weird. They really leaned into weird. That one.
I like that.
I recommend people watch that trailer.
You want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. It's nuts. All right, what's next?
Replaced looked great. Another standout of the show for me. Replaced was like the cyberpunk, pixely, I don't even know what style of game to even try and call it. It's just action game.
Action.
Yeah, side-scrolling action game. Up there with the was the Somerville. Those are like my two. Coming to Game Pass. Got a really great presentation. You know, kind of like retro bit look, but not like, you know, but like modern. You know, like more like Octopath retro looking than versus like the old stuff, which we've seen a couple of games like that. Again, coming 2022. So as I said, they keep laying the bricks. There's a lot of 2022. Here's more games.
They did a good job with that. You know, like they dropped Grounded next. They showed more content for Grounded. Still not out of beta, but that's okay.
But
that's
now
fine.
with achievements.
Now with achievements and now with terrifying spiders. What? That is one of my favorite lines because you can turn on the arachnophobia mode in that game. Even the blob is terrifying. Like, that's very good. And I appreciate the commitment to support stuff like this, you know, and to keep it moving and to keep adding content right into Game Pass. Like, keep playing it.
Yeah, I haven't gone back to Grounded. I mean, I got really hooked onto it for about a week. It's a very addictive type of game. It's got a nice loop. And I think it's a really great type of game for Game Pass. It fits in like that Minecraft mode or Minecraft Dungeons mode where you can just kind of keep adding to it. Because I think it'll find an audience if it hasn't already. But if it hasn't already, I definitely think it will because it is kind of a quality game. That's always been my impression from it is when you play it and you see the systems and you see the mechanics and how they work together and like kind of the polish of the presentation, it's kind of better than I ever expected it when we first saw it. Like when they first showed us, I was like, what is this going to be?
I was like, this isn't going to work.
This could be like some janky project game. It's not that.
No.
It's like a polished game. Like I wouldn't be surprised, you know, like if they just released a box copy because it feels like that. And it is addictive. I got way into it for like 6 days. Like building my fort, I was all into it. And then once I realized that I had to build like 5 for it, I was like, I can't. I'm never gonna play another game again if I keep doing this.
I feel this in a big way. I'm just glad to see them adding content, and I'm glad when people write funny, you know. I like it when a good funny trailer gets.
And the spiders are legit scary.
They're terrifying.
It's a really scary game, not just because they are spiders, but like the sound design when you hear the spider like thumping into the ground as they chase you, and you hear their screams, and like it is a thrilling experience. Actually, it's a thrilling little game. I like when you tense up, you start squeezing the controller a little hard, you like curl your toes. Like Grounded's got a lot of that.
I don't like that.
You start to feel something crawling on your legs.
Stop that. I'm changing the subject. Before we move on to the last couple big ones, I want to mention a couple of quick ones. Flight Sim is coming to console on July 27, and it looks very pretty if you're into that sort of thing. And Age of Empires 4 to PC Game Pass October 28th. I'm very excited about it. Personally.
I'm excited to watch that one. There's a lot of people that are really. I never knew that there was so many people that were in Age of Empires.
There's the whole RTS community, like Age of Empires, kind of built that, So.
Yeah,
that's the game in a lot of ways.
Think having jumped into this show with you, Nathan, and then kind of taking it over to this point, the last 2 or 3 years, like I've really grown in awareness just how many people are into Age of Empires, which makes me also question why they just don't let people in Xboxes play it. Just make them plug in a keyboard.
You would need a keyboard. Just
the
mechanics of that game.
They've done that in the past.
They have done it. I just don't know. I don't know if they want to confuse the message.
Make
you know
it
what
required.
I mean? I wonder if there's so few people that it's not worth the confusion. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I am the confusion of forcing people to have a
No, I 100% get you. I guess that's a good point. So in my head, I was thinking if you're questioning my look, I'm just like, but who does it hurt? It hurts nobody.
Well, it doesn't necessarily hurt anybody. I mean, except but the community for that game is on PC.
It is.
They don't. Nobody wants
I agree
this.
With.
No one
the
wants
point
that.
that I agree with is when people go, it's a PC game. I'm like,
it's a PC
100%.
And it has only ever been a PC game. And
100%.
Very few RTS have successfully crossed that barrier. The Halo.
I would love to see them do an Age of Empires Revolution, like Civilization Revolution did.
I agree with that.
That'd be cool.
Like a light version. That would be very cool. Civ Rev was very good. Civ Rev was excellent. All right, let's get into one of the big bangers. Forza Horizon 5.
The game that put this podcast on Eurogamer and Kotaku and IGN and everything a couple years ago when I told Elaine that I thought the next game was Forza Horizon 5, and we did a whole episode segment on why it was not happening. And then Jeff Grubb came and he said the same thing.
This happened. Yeah.
This is our game. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything. It's just, this is a seminal game announcement for this show.
And
it'd be a mistake not to at least reference that. We've been talking about this game for a year.
We have, and I'm really glad it's coming this year. This was the one
Donnie,
I said.
are you now announcing a giveaway of Forza Horizon 5?
We should. We really should. But here's the thing. It's like with no evidence officially at all that this game was coming.
And now it's here.
It is. It's here.
It's here this year. We got into a discussion about that.
This year.
I think it needs to be this year. I don't think
not
it can
spring,
wait till next year.
not later, like everything else. This game is coming this year.
Check my bingo card.
Effin Thomas. If you had told me when we got together and I sent you that email and I said, hey, I want to start a podcast, that I was going to be as excited as I am to play a fucking Forza game this fall, I would have laughed you out of my show. I'm so excited. Nathan deserves all the credit. He's the one that got me into Forza Horizon 3.
So good.
He made me discover a game genre that I had never experienced before. If this game wasn't coming to Game Pass, I absolutely would buy it day one. Not only would I buy it day one, I'd buy the stupid edition. That's how excited I am for Forza Horizon. This is stupid edition levels of hype.
They showed this thing. It looks amazing. It looks beautiful. I mean, nobody should have it.
So good.
It's set in Mexico. They're going to be piñatas that you could look.
I kind of felt like tears. They were doing the 12K thing, and I was looking at it, and I was like,
that trick,
am I so happy I'm about to cry right now?
That trick that they do never gets old. They show you footage that looks like it's just an actual camera footage of the place, and then they drive the freaking cars through. And I'm like, I'm never going to get tired of you doing this. Never going to get tired of you doing
I've watched that clip in 4K. I don't know how many times.
We've come from the industry, at least in these circles, the podcast, the streaming folks, where they always made fun of Xbox for having a stupid car on the stage. And now I've come so full circle. I was so excited when they brought the Mercedes. I was like, it's Forza. We're going to do it.
And they did it. And they gave us a little deep dive on Forza. They gave us a little bit of extra time. There's going to be an add-on bundle that you can purchase with real money to add a bunch of stuff onto the Game Pass version if you don't want to buy the stupid version. Yeah, I'm gonna get that too. I might just buy the stupid version with the Steelbook because I want the Steelbook. That's the kind of person that I am. This is who I am. I'm very excited.
Did they say it was coming to PC day and date?
I would assume so, but I
would assume so, but I don't know. Horizon 4 was it should.
Was it PC same day?
Yeah, it was same
day. It's gotta be.
I thought they came later. Okay.
No, because I played it on PC when Horizon 4 came out. That's where I played it. So, look, I'm excited. Video games.
I'm so excited. This is the one, right?
That's my big huge banger.
This is all I need.
You're right. That's not wrong. But this is the one that I've been kind of pointing to. Like, we need a big exclusive. We need one soon. It needs to not be Halo, but also in the sense that I'm sorry.
He's having a moment.
Take your time, Donnie. Breathe. It's okay.
It's okay. We're here for you in this moment. We
we'll
have
work
your
through
back.
this. I'm sure you can
together.
find your charger in the roster of cars.
Oh, absolutely. Come on.
I mean, it's it's going to be great. It's going to do all the buzzwords. It's going to show you the console. It's going to do all the things. It's just going to fill such a big gap. And having talked about it for so long, this is the one that, like, seeing was believing, right? I've been talking about this, like, knowing that it was going to be here. The one thing that I didn't want to have happen, that I will shame others for, is they show Forza Horizon 5 and you see somebody on a streamer podcast and they're like, we knew that was going to be there anyway. Don't do that to this game, because this game showed out in a major way. It looked incredible. This is why knowing has nothing to do with seeing. Seeing is always believing. That's the part that's important, right? We knew Starfield was going to be there. Last year we knew Halo was going to be there. It didn't go well. The fact that we walked into this show and this game it looked so incredible. I feel the Xbox fandom, it's hard to explain to people that aren't into car games, that aren't into it, like how great Forza Horizon is. It's not Motorsport. It's not Turismo. It's not that game.
No,
it's not car game.
They're fun. It's
like
fun.
Open world exploration game that just so happens to have some stupid races in it.
They are very, very special.
You race a train, you could go bowling. They had bowling pins in the Forza game. They had ramps that throw your car up in the air. Like, this is...
Smack some pinatas.
Yep. November 9th.
I'm so excited.
November 9th.
Game of the show for me.
November 9th is the official date, but if you get these stupid editions, as Donnie calls them,
it's the 5th.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
the 5th of November.
before.
Remember.
Always remember the 5th of November. So if we buy the stupid edition you linked in here, you get it early?
Yeah.
I'm buying it now.
Yeah. I'm very excited to play this. This is probably the game that I'm most looking forward to this fall, if we really get serious. More than Halo for me. Horizon has been my favorite racing series in a real long time. So
Same.
Probably will forever. The only thing that's even come close was Test Drive Unlimited back on the 360. And Horizon has far exceeded that video game. So, and then after they showed us, they gave us a little bit of a deep dive on Horizon. Then they closed out with a new Bethesda Arcane game. It's called Redfall, which will be 2022, launching into Game Pass. It looks like it's got the class-based co-op thing going. 4 characters, each with different skill sets, fighting vampires. They didn't show us how the game runs. It was all cinematic, which is fine. An interesting choice to close the show.
This is Project Omen, which has been long rumored. Arcane Austin, as you already said. The interesting thing about this one is Sean did not appreciate that this closed the show. I never like the whole. I understand it, like the show. I think it's very much like our zeitgeist to. We got to open and close, and you talk about the pace of the show and all that. I think this is very important because this is a standout game. I remember when I opened the show, I was talking about 2023, the bridge to get there and everything. This is a big exclusive IP from Bethesda that was just announced. Like, I realize that they could have shown a lot more, but it's not coming until 2022. There's time to show. But the fact that this was dated for 2022, I think is a big deal because they needed it.
Yeah, I think they do need more of these 2022 games, and this almost is like, well, Arcane is doing Deathloop for PlayStation. Arcane is doing this for Xbox.
Yeah. This was kind of what I was hoping for Wolf 3. We talked about Wolf 3 a lot, and I was like, there's a hole. There's a giant hole here, and this is going to be the game that they're going to try to fill it with. Now, whether it is or not, we don't know. But how much better? I appreciate it so much more because they very well could have showed us a new game that's 2023 or 4. They could have said no date, right? And it just beyond.
Correct.
I think we'd be having a whole different conversation if that was the case versus this. The fact that it is next year, it's something to look forward to as we get to 2023.
And it's unique and it's exclusive, and that's good, And the truth is, they didn't close the show with the Arcane game. They closed the show with the Xbox mini fridge launching this holiday. And that's how you close a stupid show about a stupid video
It's got the grill on the top, on the door, and everything.
It's so stupid. I'm so here for it.
Buying the hell out of that.
I want one so bad.
How much do you think they're going to cost?
$200.
$299.
That's my guess.
I would toss 100, maybe 120, but I couldn't do more than that.
It's
$299.
It's so stupid.
How much does a regular mini fridge cost?
That size that only holds
$50,
like
right?
10 cans, that's like a $50 to $100 fridge. Because that's like
I
a
typed
really
in mini
small one.
fridge. The very first, I got 129, 109, 159, 89.
I mean, this is pretty small. This is like looks like it holds like a little more than a 6-pack.
So the fact that this is going to be branded and they're probably going to make them in small quantities, like, yeah, I think you're right, Elaine. I think the low
150
end
to
is
200.
199.
Yeah, 150 to 200. I don't think they'll go too far above that, but it's dumb and I want it.
I'm getting one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That looks awesome.
So let's recap all this stuff, right? Let's talk about what's. Yeah, right. Let me get.
Yeah, right there, Donnie.
So, launching today into Game Pass are 10 Bethesda titles and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Okay? Launching this year into Game Pass are, let me see, I need my picture. Dark Alliance, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, The Ascent, Hades, 12 Minutes.
12 minutes.
Origami 2, Sable, Scorn, Back for Blood, Shredders, Among Us, Hello Neighbors 2, The Gunk, Flight Sim, Psychonauts 2, Age of Empires on PC, Forza Horizon 5, and Halo.
You know what's interesting? A lot of press conferences or something like that in E3 historically have been like, hey, here's what we're working on. Here's what we want you to buy in the coming year or whatever, right? Here's what we want you to get. But here, this is basically the Game Pass show, and this is like, hey, this is what you're going to be playing over the next couple of years.
If you have Game Pass.
You don't have to buy it. It's yours.
Like, if you look at, like, future, too, 2022, maybe a little 2023, you have Plague Tale Requiem, you have Atomic Heart, Redfall, Contraband, Party Animals, Replace, Slime Rancher, Somerville, Stalker 2, Starfield, and then they did show Outer Worlds 2, which is
best trailer of the show.
Best trailer.
That was the best trailer, and anybody who has not watched the Outer Worlds 2 trailer, I highly recommend it.
Devolver levels of awesome trailer.
And now, for no reason, men running.
It's so good. There should be lens flare.
The
like, just
sound.
It's very, very good. Like, they gave you the roadmap from here to Starfield.
Yep.
And then that bridges you, because that's November of 2022, into the big stuff of 2023.
That's when the engine gets going.
Yeah.
That's when they start releasing, and then they're on the track.
That's
they're
when
revving the engines right now, right? They're revving them, you hear them, and then you get to see them in action.
You get to Starfield, and then you start talking about Avowed, Fable, Perfect Dark, Hellblade, like the Coalition's next project, probably, Compulsion's next project, probably. Like, you've bridged the gap. And they bridge the gap from here to Starfield is the gap.
That's when all of a sudden those studio logos that you've seen turn into games.
Right.
When do you think we're going to see Hellblade?
So Hellblade's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I kept looking for the post show because I saw a report that said that we'd see some Hellblade today. I thought it meant not in the game form. I thought we'd get another one of those making of trailer drops.
Right.
Which I'm still here for. I'm here for anything.
I agree.
Hellblade 2 will be 2023. Feel pretty certain about that.
I think so, because they're doing it in the Unreal 5 now, right?
Yeah,
they're porting it into the.
They're one of the first devs that went, I think, hands on with it. Yeah,
I think we will get this continued developer blogs that they're doing, and then we'll get a big dump at next E3, where we'll really see that game. And I actually would say
the thing with Hellblade, and the reason why I think it's going to be 2023 and not later, is and it's not because of the game scope. I want to be clear. Like, I think Hellblade 2 is going to be a bigger, grander game than the first one. It's just that they've been working and they've been hard at work on content. The thing that I think has been holding them back is Hellblade has been very, very heavy on mocap. Yep. And I think with COVID and everything and travel restrictions, I think that's what's been delayed. So as we start to open all that up, I think they'll turn to that really quickly as they upgrade their toolkits and everything for Unreal Engine. But I expect that game will be 2023, which is, that's about what I expected. It sounds right. It sounds like right where it should be. And unless it runs into issues, which I don't, very linear story player game, I don't expect that one to be the one that runs into anything like that.
I would hope for early 2023. Spring.
Yeah.
I would hope like a March. That would be your quarter game there, right after Starfield hits in November. That's your next one, and then you start rolling into some of these other games.
I wouldn't be surprised to see more Starfield at the Game Awards. That wouldn't shock me at all.
So, when is that officially now?
It's every year in the last.
It's the end of the year, right? That's the right time. If you're about a year out at that point, I think you got to start showing what that game looks like moving.
Xbox always brings something to the Game Awards, and that one makes sense to me. That you would do that there, get our first snippet of something like in-engine moving, big gameplay reveal next E3 to launch in the fall.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Agree. What else do we got? Did we get through all of it? I'm exhausted.
TPR says, do you guys think a Japanese studio acquisition or partnership could be in the works, or are these just good games Microsoft is working to bring Game Pass? He had mentioned, I only took the question because it was like a paragraph, Yakuza, Eiyuden Chronicles coming, like there seemed to be a focus. And that's been Phil's mantra for a while now, is they've wanted to do something like that. They've wanted to have more Japanese influence in their library. So
I think for them, the ability to get those games on Game Pass and then put them in the cloud and mobile, and knowing that the Japanese market is heavily geared towards those mobile devices and using that as their gaming situation, I think that's a huge gain if they can do that. I mean, a studio acquisition may pay dividends in the future, but the immediate win would be Game Pass.
I think cutting the deals that they've been cutting with Square and with Sega is probably sufficient for right now. Like, I don't know that they need to
continue the deals they've made recently by getting them day and date.
I would agree with that statement.
The thing that's been late on those is the Dragon Quest and a lot of Yakuza games that they've showed up later after post-release.
Sure.
And that's good because Xbox hasn't really had them, so that's good. And they do get like a second life when it comes to Game Pass, so I'm happy with it. The transition needs to be what we're seeing. Eiyuden Chronicles, day and date, Yakuza Like a Dragon coming soon. Like that needs to be the transition. They need to come sooner.
I agree.
That'll be more appealing, I think, if they can get some day and date stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yep. And then they have Tango. I don't know what the hell they're doing after Ghostwire Tokyo, but they've got Tango. So you might see something.
We'll see how that goes. You know, I
couple
don't know
years
that
from
it's I think Microsoft just wants to build the Game Pass empire right now, so to speak. And
well, we didn't talk about Phil's closing comments. Very absolute in the fact that they're really showcasing the diversity of lineup.
Yep.
That seems to be something that they're really proud of, or at least something they're really leaning into. They talked about the amount of RPGs, the different kinds of RPGs, the amount of shooters, the different kinds of shooters, all these different games coming, flight sims, Psychonauts. Like they really made a focus on, we have a game for everybody. You're into cars, we've got that. You're into shooters, we got that. You're into multiplayer, we got that. You know, like that's really what they're trying to do. It seemed to be like a big part of it.
I'm impressed with that too. And I think they did a good job of showing that, and they did a good job of doing that crisp and expediently. You know,
sells Game Pass.
They sold Game Pass.
Game Pass is for everyone. It's not for the hardcore. It's not for the diehard. It's not for a PC player. It's for everybody. Everybody should have Game Pass. Whether you play on PlayStation, Nintendo, it doesn't matter. Everybody should have Game Pass.
That was the sell today. Look, 30 games we're showing here. 27 launching.
We counted them up on stream. I got to almost $500, and that's just through November.
Right. That's
it stopped at Halo.
Year. Yeah. Like
that's insane.
That's insane.
That's nuts, you know. And if you look, you have 6 months left of the year, so you're not even a full year worth of Game Pass. You know,
I would have bought half of those games out of pocket.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
12 minutes, The Abyss.
I would have dropped whatever the $100 version for Forza,
Forza,
absolutely.
Halo. Yeah,
it's this was a good show. Like I'm impressed. You know, I am. I think I think it hit about where my expectations were. Maybe a little higher.
As I say, I think it did better than mine. My
expectation
coming into the show was I wanted it to be a good show by Xbox standards, and it far superseded that to me. I think they gave one of their better performances ever.
Yeah, this was a very well produced show too. Like there was no downtime and there was no nonsense. They did a really good job. I'm very impressed. I
was expecting a B+ show. Like if you were to grade it, a B+ show, and I think they turned in an A.
Yeah, or an A- maybe. You know, like I mean, look, yes, they did a good job. I'm really excited that we're getting Forza this year. For me, that's a huge deal.
I'm so excited for Forza.
I'm so excited for it.
I know it's like it's like a trope of Xbox shows. Xbox people are like, oh, you got Forza, Halo, and Gears. Guys, we're gonna talk so much Forza.
I'm so excited. I'm gonna play so much of that video game. I'm gonna play so much of that video game. It's gonna be great.
They drove into a cave through a waterfall.
It's nuts. Well, that's.
I want to go in there and I want to find a new car. I want to find a barn find.
Dude, you probably will.
Far Cry 6. They launched the Doom buggy up in the air with a parachute.
I told you that's the stupid.
They went flying. They flew the car.
Attack Rooster. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, like I'm ready.
I'm gonna sick Rooster on some folks.
Video games are awesome, and I'm excited about them. That's how I feel.
Jack Sparrow
today.
And Sea of Thieves.
That's how I feel today. Video
Still
games
bringing home
awesome.
on that one.
Hey man, let's go.
It was really good.
The fact that there's all of these little moments, right, that everybody latches onto a little bit something different. Like that's that's telling to me of a good show. That's a good thing. That's a very good telling thing. It's a good show.
pages of notes.
Pages, and we had a blast, and it was very fun to live stream that thing. And man,
it was fun.
We did it. We
live streamed with the Xbox Drive.
Yep.
It felt really nice having all 5 of us together. After like our podcasts have been so intertwined for the last couple of years.
Yeah, man.
It was cool to experience it together. I think it made it even better. You know, Sean's beer I think tasted better.
Just because we were all there.
With every Game Pass screen, I think his beer got better. And I would agree. I think it felt better watching it. Like I couldn't have picked 5 people to watch Forza with.
Like, we were all so hyped.
Yeah.
Oh, we were all so excited.
I can only imagine if you went to anywhere else and they were like, "Oh, it's the car game."
It's the best car game.
It's so good. It's so much better than that.
It's not just a car game.
Think like your open world game, except instead of running around, you're driving a car. Yes. It's so much better than that. Fable's gonna be so good.
It's gonna be a good 6 freaking months with an Xbox.
Yeah, it is.
It's gonna be a good 6 months with an Xbox.
When do you guys think the next time we see Halo is? Is there another event scheduled, or are we just thinking?
This coming week, they said they're going to drop a ton of content for Halo.
I would expect them to start taking applications for test flights soon.
Yeah, soon.
I bet by August they've got multiplayer testing.
Absolutely.
Going in public. You can get your hands on a little, capture the flag or something out there, I bet.
I think that game is a game we're going to start to see the trickle of over and over and over again for the next couple of weeks.
If you want to do it, make sure you jump into sign up for the Halo Waypoint. This is good for listeners.
Yeah.
Sign up for the Halo Waypoint. They have an insider's flight thing that you can pre-register for. And I would go ahead and put your console in one of the preview rings. Go ahead and do that now.
Yeah.
If you want to be one of the first people, do that now.
If you're excited about it, then get yourself ready because that's going to be a whole thing.
Yeah, because if you don't, you're not going to get in.
You're not going to get in.
If you wait for the day for them to put it up,
no, this is Halo, y'all.
Yeah.
It's going to get nuts, especially multiplayer stuff. Absolutely. I think we covered all of it, man.
Yeah.
We did. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our on-air producers, and then we can close this thing out, and all of us need a nap because it's been a day. A major shout out to our on-air Patreon producers, Michael Masick, Barry Cathcart, Edwin Callow, Stephen Keller, Nick Creature, Rude Days 93, Ben Moxham, Rob Emanuel, Nick Fallhaber, Paul Calicote, Kyle Heyman, Grouchy Surge, Devin Tyus, Josh Bourbon, RJ Kern, Horse Girl 69, Zach Adams, Joseph Wilson, and Drew Agnew. Y'all and everybody else who listens to the show and retweets and hangs out in the Discord make this thing possible and make us more excited to do it. More excited than we already are.
Yeah.
Just very excited. Donnie, Nathan, thanks for hanging out through this thing today, man. And a big thanks to the Xbox Drive folks. Sean, Ryan.
I'm happy that we're back together and then we get to podcast again. I got from a vacation. We take some time off.
We shook it all out.
What a great way to come back, get us started. We'll be back on
kids.
Schedule after E3 week.
We back. Oh, baby. All right.
Good day.
All right. I think that's going to do it. Did we get everything?
We're good.
All right, guys. It's E3. So until next time, play some video games.